Thank you for joining us today for our 2020 National Commemoration. I'm Sarah Bloomfield, Director of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Every year, we gather together with Holocaust survivors and concerned citizens to honor the memory of the victims and pay tribute to the brave American soldiers who liberated the concentration camps 75 years ago this month. This year, our ceremony comes at a very challenging moment for our nation and the world. But as the survivors so powerfully remind us, the lessons of the Holocaust are timeless. They always have meaning and relevance in both good times and bad. And they always remind us of the importance of our common humanity.
We were a family of 4 people. I had a sister who was 2 years older than myself. And my parents, we were a conscious Jewish family. My parents and my sister, so they were deported and sent to Auschwitz where they died.
First my father and 16-year-old brother, and then my mother and 2 little boys, and then older sister, and then yet another younger sister.
32 of my family members who were killed and murdered by the Nazis.
My little cousin, who was 19 months old.
To my 2 sisters and my father.
I feel an obligation not to let their existence be completely forgotten.
What haunts me is, why did I survive?
Surviving had a purpose, and the purpose was to remember.
I want to remember Tante Anna, the way she was before she was murdered. Her hugs were warm and soft, and holding our hands, she took us into the kitchen where the bulbanik was baking and allowed us to help her take it out of the oven. Of course, we received the first piece.
I know that my father loved my mom and me because I have the postcard he sent from forced labor camps. He finished his letters with this sentence: "Millions of kisses to you and my precious Peter from Arpad, who loves you a lot."
My father, he loved to lead prayers, had a beautiful voice. The last time I saw him was when I was 4.5 years old.
I was 9 months old when I was placed in hiding. And it's through those photographs that I came to love my dad and my sisters.
My brother, aside from being adorable, was 1.5 years younger than I was. I remember ice skating with him, holding hands, and we never argued. We were always warm and loving, always.
She was a very strong person, my Aunt Giza. I remember her running with my brother and me, each by one hand, and taking us to our neighbor and saying, "Please take these children," when she herself was being deported. It was a moment that I will never forget.
All those people who were killed during the Holocaust were important. Many of them could have been great scientists, lawyers, chefs, doctors, poets, writers. What a loss to humanity.
במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזר רקיע מזהירים את כל הנשמות של 6 מיליוני היהודים, חללי השואה באירופה, שנהרגו ושנשחטו, שנשרפו ושנספו על קידוש השם בידי המרצחים הגרמנים ויוזריהם משאר העמים, באושוויץ, טרבלינקה, מיידנק, מאוטהאוזן, ברגן-בלזן, סוביבור, ובשאר מחנות ההשמדה שהלכו לעולמם, ובעבור שכל הקהל מתפלל לעילוי נשמותיהם.
We entered some of the concentration camps. The first one was Buchenwald. And I've been asked to describe, what my reactions were when we reached the camp. I have difficulty with that. They were indescribable. Dead bodies lying on the ground. You couldn't tell if they were dead or alive. Their eyes appealing for help. People scrounging in piles of garbage looking for some morsel of food to stop the starvation. Crematoria still going with bodies in them. I had peered into hell, is the way I had described it. Absolutely incredible to a rational human mind how human beings can be treated that way. They were being literally worked to death as part of an overall program, Vernichtung durch Arbeit, kill them through work. And that was the goal, and that was what they did. Let me go on now to the Nuremberg trial itself. I was 27 years old. It was my first case. I rested the prosecution's case in 2 days, and I convicted all of the defendants, and 13 were sentenced to death. Now, I didn't ask for the death penalty. And the reason I didn't ask was because I didn't see any way you could get justice for these 22 people for murdering 1 million people. There was no way to balance that scale. And if I could do something more important than that, if I could create a rule of law which would bind and protect all people, because the victims were killed because they didn't share the race and the religion and the ideology of their executioners. And if I could make it the law that they couldn't kill people for such reasons, that rule, principle of law would protect everybody forever, everywhere. And I asked the court to affirm that as the principle and the purpose of that trial, and they complied.
I belong to a traumatized generation that often felt abandoned by God and betrayed by mankind. Was it yesterday or eternities ago that some of us have realized that human beings are capable of unspeakable brutality? That for killers it was human to be inhuman? Are we therefore to give up on humanity? Was then the man that we are, the human beings that we are, were we God's victim or God's failure? Are we God's prisoner? Are we God's orphans? I believe that every day it is incumbent upon us to choose anew between deadly warfare among adults and the right of children to grow up without fear, with a smile on their face. Between ugly hatred and the nobility of opposing it. Between inflicting pain and humiliation and inventing a beginning of solidarity and hope. Not to choose is also a choice, said Albert Camus, the wrong choice. I know, and I speak of experience, that even in the midst of darkness, it is possible to create light and share warmth with one another. That even on the edge of the abyss, it is possible to dream exalted dreams of compassion. That it is possible to be free and strengthen the ideals of freedom, even within prison walls. That even in exile, friendship becomes an anchor. I still believe that 1 minute before one dies, there may be hope in his or her heart. 1 minute before one dies, he or she is still immortal. In the final analysis, I believe in man in spite of man. I still believe in his or her future, in spite of what human beings have done to the principle of human dignity and human life. I believe in language, although it has been distorted, corrupted, and poisoned by the enemy. I still cling to words, for it is we who decide whether they become spears or balm, carriers of bigotry or vehicles of understanding, whether they are used to curse or to heal, whether they are here to cause shame or to give comfort. I believe that ultimately it is we who decide whether words are to be turned into poisonous arrows or into peace offerings. I belong to a generation that has learned that whatever the question, despair is not an answer. Whatever the experience, indifference is not an option. My friends, I'll conclude with an episode. Somewhere in those times, in those places, an SS officer speaks to his victim, a young student, and says, "You want to live, and maybe you will survive. And one day you will regret it. You will speak, but your words will fall on deaf ears. Some will laugh at you, others will try to redeem themselves through you. You will try to reveal what should remain hidden. You will try to incite people to learn from the past and rebel, but they will refuse to believe you. They will not listen to you. In the end, you will curse me for having spared you. You will curse me because you will be in the possession of truth. You already do, but it is the truth of a madman." But then, why the museum? Why write memories? Why share experiences? For the dead, it is too late. We do all that because it is not too late for our children. For all children, it's never too late.
Simcha Munzer, Eva Munzer, Leah Munzer, Emil Munzer.
Salomon Bash, Silva Deutsch Bash, Gisela Deutsch Brančić.
Bertha Friedman, Ari Friedman, Esther Friedman, Hinda Feldman.
Osiasz Gruber, Sarah Gruber, Rivka Gruber, Isaac Dreimer.
Agnes Lemberger, Tony Lemberger, Amelia Lemberger.
Grunwald Arpad, Grunwald László, Grunwald Imre, Schönfeld Elemér, Winter Mark.
Gesina Polak, Eddie Gomperts, Astrid Israëls, Jacob de Caceres.
Eva Chave Horowitz, Joseph Lefkovich, Kanja Lefkovich, Paula Markowitz.
Rivka Bester, Shmuel Bester, Fege Fishbaum, Leah London.
Help us keep our promise to never forget. Join us by reading or sharing a name today.